So from pricing to marketing to AI to the future of the world of hearing care, I get a number of questions that have come in and I want to answer them all in this episode. Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the #1 marketing and practice growth podcast for high-performing private practice hearing care leaders. My name's Ollie Luke. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a drink, and let's have a chat. So welcome along to another episode of the Business of Hearing podcast. And we get the occasional question, believe it or not. And I encourage you, if you've got a question or I ever cover a topic that you want more on, then just shoot us an email and I'll start doing a few episodes like this where we round these questions up and we look to answer them. We'll keep them anonymous, but let me jump into these and we'll kind of cut the foreplay. Let's jump straight in. So, question. So we've always done print ads, local radio, some Facebook, the usual stuff, but it's hard to tell if any of it is actually working. We're not in a techie area, so I always assume the old school stuff still had value. But are we just wasting money by not going all in online? What would you prioritize if you were us? Now I can give a very blanket answer to this, and that is go all in online. But let's just zoom out a little further here, because this narrative of we're not in a techie area, I'm going to assume that is we are in an area full of older people. They're our kind of bread and butter. And I think the missing part here is we're trying to jump straight to tactic. Like we're trying to jump straight to the thing without zooming out and going, well, what are we looking to achieve? Who are we looking to achieve it for? Starting point here, and this will simplify it, be clear on who you're trying to reach. Get specificity on your who. Who is it? Are these 60-year-old patients that want premium? Is this, are you happy with those older group of patients? And the way I'd always look at this is ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, who pays you the most money in exchange for the least amount of effort and time? Question number 2, who are the types of patients that just give you the most satisfaction, who you could work with every day and your cup's filled up at the end of the day? And then question number 3 is, who are the ones that you just know you're uniquely qualified to help the best? And if it's the same person in all of these, you've got your who. If it's different answers, then just decide what you want. Is it a practice that gives you the most profit? Is it a practice that gives you the most joy? Or is it a practice that gives you most reward and recognition? Like, make that decision, and then you should have specificity on the types of patients you want, because understanding the who determines what the marketing strategy and what the marketing tactics should be. Because if you decide that, like, we want those 60 to 70-year-old who are still actively working, then the marketing and what you need to be in order to appeal to them is very different than if you just want the ones who want to maximize their insurance benefits, or if you want the ones to be who are third party, or like whatever it may be. If you want to build a practice on peds, it's a very different situation, right? But understanding who you want to serve will be the starting point, and then you can make the marketing decisions on how you reach them. Because if you're looking to reach younger patients, then direct mail, newspaper is not the way to do it. If you really want those 85-year-old patients and they're your sweet spot for some reason, then you're probably playing the right game. So it's all going to be very dependent on that. I do have a bigger approach that online is the shift. If we want patients that are going to be here in the next 2 decades, then they're going to be very difficult to reach through traditional methods that were well respected by the silent generation. But fundamentally, before you get into the details, do that. And there's an old school foundational marketing formula: market, message, media. And that is always the right way to think about these things. Get clear on your market. What is the message you want to put in front of that market? And then only then can you decide on the media, i.e. the platform, the vehicle to deliver that message to that market. Like, that is so key. Never start with the media, and many people do. We're in the dark.
It's all going wrong.
It's all going wrong. All right, so we're back. We had an outage. The lights went off. It went very moody. But let me get back into that. Start with the who. Get very, very clear on the types of patients you want. Market, message, media. Get clear on your market. Then you can work the message in order to appeal to the market. And then you can finally decide on the media that will deliver that message to the market in the right way. Because let's be really honest here. If your market is 60-year-old guys who are on the internet a lot, the media to deliver is probably OnlyFans. I'm joking, of course, but like, you've got to play the game. It's all going to depend on that. All right, let's get to question 2. Ollie, I saw your post about AI changing search and it freaked me out a bit. I spent years trying to get our SEO right, writing blog after blog, and now I'm hearing it might not even matter anymore. Can you break it down? Like, do I still need to care about SEO, or is it time to switch strategy completely? Yeah. So I suppose, first of all, the way that people find practices like yours is changing online. Traditional SEO, in the sense of I'm going to write a blog post, is becoming irrelevant with Google rolling out AI overviews, Google rolling out their AI mode from ChatGPT, naturally gobbling up market share as it has been, and more people are jumping to platforms like that to get answers more than recommendations from a traditional blue link perspective. But I wouldn't panic about this. I think this is just a new reality that we need to play in. So to get really clear in terms of your question, the game is no longer about ranking. It's about, I suppose, referencing. Traditionally, what we wanted was be number one when people make that search. But if people are not making the search and asking questions instead to an answer-based model like AI search, then we just need to be the recommended option. And in order to win the recommended option, many of the factors that traditional SEO focused on are still relevant. It's just adapting them. So answering questions for your website, not that relevant, but creating content on your website that helps people, still relevant, all depending on the lens. So to get really specific on this, the job of your website needs to be deliver vast amount of trust. Like, first of all, before you even think about SEO, is the value proposition right? Is the explanation of who you are correct? Have you got the evidence on your website to show you help the people you claim to help to achieve the outcomes they're looking for? Forget all the fancy SEO stuff. Like, get the foundations correct. Trust needs to be super, super key. Of course, there's all the foundations of technically, is the website structured more for an AI mode? Is the schemas and markup, all the technical stuff that is pretty bland and boring that isn't your job to understand, but your job to manage, definitely needs doing correctly. And then what I'd be looking at is the content that you're creating on the website, because you still need to continue to create, is not so much answering questions. That is replaced by these AI overviews. It's document the stories of your patients. It's show you doing stuff in the community. It's really show that you care greatly about the hearing health of the community. It's showing that you've got your finger on the pulse of exactly what's going on with information that's raw and human and honest. And it's showing that you're there and you care. Like, they're the things that are going to make the biggest difference from a content perspective. So that may be the top 4 local coffee shops in location as voted by our patients. It may be meet Jeff, here's his tinnitus journey, and it's got the context there. It may be how much do hearing aids really cost, and a real human written answer that isn't based on logic driven AI bullshit. It's like really raw and really honest. Like, that's the stuff that's going to connect. That's the stuff that's going to win in an AI world. And on top of that, keep collecting reviews, make sure they've got depth behind them. Like, if you've got to get really tactical, it's not that your existing website needs burning down in many aspects. It means it needs dialing up in many aspects. So different game, but dare I say, you know, it's, how do we say this? It's like going from playing American football to soccer. Like, it's a different game, but there's still a ball. There's still players on the pitch. It's still grass. It's still roughly the same, but the rules have now changed, and what winning looks like has now changed. And one is a vastly better sport than the other. No guesses for which way around that is. All right, let's jump to question number 3. Okay. Here's a weird one. And that's what they say, it's not what I'm saying. Here's a weird one. We've been thinking about running a campaign for our database, but I feel like we always end up saying the same thing, like time for a checkup or book your next clean and check. It all feels a little flat. Any tips to make our database actually work for us? Lots of tips. First of all, let me address what I think is the biggest challenge is the majority of database campaigns that practices send do not sound like you, do not align to you, but have been provided to you by a manufacturer or you've picked up from somewhere, and the patients see right through it. They receive something from you that doesn't sound like you, doesn't look like you, feels like your logo's just been dropped on some random thing. No wonder it doesn't work. Like, dare I say, somebody that you love and admire, take a family member, if they wrote a letter to you and it sounded nothing like them, you'd be freaked out by it. You probably wouldn't respond to it. You'd be a bit weirded out. And it's the same way, like, do you ever get a text message from somebody that you know and you know their phone's been hacked or something like that? saying like, hey, it's dad, I've changed my number, please call me immediately. It's like, you just know how people sound. And when it doesn't sound like them instantly, you back off a little bit. And it's the same. I'm going to assume your communications to your database are not aligned in your voice, your brand, your personality, etc. So that's the starting point here. Just ensure that what you are writing and producing is you. And although you may not be a copywriter, and I don't ask you to be, in today's world, it's relatively easy to write content, but just make sure it's coming from your belief system, from your values, worded in a way that's beneficial. And keep in mind, especially with some of this, if you're inviting patients in for a clean and check, what is the advantage to them? That's the thing that's been missed. It's like they owe you a favor. You're saying you need to come in for a clean and check. You're overdue one. Please call and schedule. That's like asking, you know, when you get contacted to take your car for a service, like it's the most uninspiring thing in the world. You've got to take a day off work. You've got to drive it somewhere. You end up paying a fortune for it to drive away feeling exactly the same. And somebody stamps something in a book. It's so painful from an end user perspective. And just think about that from your lens. Everything's got to have a benefit that is in the interest of the patient. Clean and check is preventative maintenance, in the same way that your car needs an oil change to ensure it's working, protect the warranty, ensure that everything's programmed to what it should be, maximize lifetime value. Many of the people walk in and walk out surprised at how much of a difference a clean and check can make. Like, that needs to be super, super clear. And of course, there's the foundational communications that you should have when patients reach 4 years, when patients are overdue an appointment, when patients have missed an appointment, cancelled an appointment, like the key communications. But the one thing I'd be looking at is, where is the cache in that database? Because there's pockets in that are gold mines. Because everybody focuses on, I'm just going to send an upgrade campaign to the 4+. But there's so many different micro segments of that database. Like patients in their first 12 to 18 months, like they're right for a referral ask. Patients that are tested, not treated, what do you do with that group? What do you do with the people that are overdue, knowing that although you see them as your patients, they may not see you as their provider. And what about patients who are wearing very specific technology? Like all these little things. What patients do you have right now that are wearing battery-powered devices still, who may benefit from rechargeable, who just don't really know that's been around? Like, you can be very specific in terms of that segment, even if it's 32 patients. If you land the right message to the right patients with the right outcome, you're going to get more of the right outcomes, I suppose. So that's what I'd look at. But just ensure your messaging is on point. Of course, the way that you send it is super key as well. If you're sending direct mail pieces, if you're sending it in bland, uninspiring envelopes with the cheapest way possible to send, is it any surprise nobody's really receiving it with any form of grace or importance? Switch that up, send it in something that stands out, send it in a colored envelope, hand address the envelope, put a real stamp on it. It's going to cost you more. But if you're making investments into your patients and you're telling them that you care about the details, and you're showing them that this is not something you've sent to them and hundreds of others, but this is something that you have sent to them, it's going to be better perceived, more read, more replied to. And reciprocity plays a big role, right? If you've gone to the effort of handwriting something, people, it's rude to not respond in some way. So you can play with all those metrics and all the joys of psychology from that perspective. Let's have a look at a fourth question here. Okay. Here's something I struggle with. How do we communicate the value of what we do when people only want to talk to us about the price of the hearing aids? Like, we know that care matters, the follow-up matters, and the expertise matters, but patients just see the sticker price and disappear. How do we win that conversation? This sounds like you've got two problems. Number one, who are your patients? Sounds like you don't quite know. And if people are coming in with a pricing situation, then you've probably not got very clear on the types of patients that you want. You're kind of for everyone and are dealing with the craziness and unpredictability of different people walking in with vastly different expectations. And then number two is, the job of your website in today's world is not just to convert, it's to educate, then convert. Like, I was speaking to an Inner Circle member, and their website recently went live. We'll call it several weeks ago. It may be 3 weeks, it may be 5 weeks, it may be 9 weeks. I'm not quite sure. But it went live relatively recently. And I was picking up a call with them and just asking how things were going. And the first thing they noted was the people who call are so much better qualified now. Previously, people were calling to ask about price. We had to then overly justify how we're different. Like, the front desk love it right now because the people who call know all about them, know the price already, are already pre-sold that they're the people to solve the challenge that they're calling about. makes a big, big difference. And this should be the job of your website. If you're getting inquiries who are just price conscious, then somewhere the problem is the communication, because the job of sales should be to fill in the gaps that have been left behind by marketing. If your marketing does the right job and it clearly communicates your value, then you haven't got an issue, right? If somebody's looking to schedule or book a meal at a Michelin star restaurant, not many are turning up to be really adamant that I need something for a maximum of $10. This is ridiculous. Like, nobody's arguing the bill because they know the expectation was set. They know that they were scheduling. It was very clear. They knew the price in many aspects in advance. We need to do the same. So be very, very clear on your patients. First of all, we know to start with who, but then make sure your website is doing a job. That's not just to say what you do. It's to say who you do it for, how you do it, and the element and level that you do it at. That will minimize the amount of challenges and ensure you get more of the right people coming through. Let me see if I've got any just through emails here. What have we answered? We've answered 4 of these. See if there's any quick ones I can throw in. Okay, this one's a bit businessy, but we've been thinking about how we price things. We've always done the traditional model, pay up front, service included, but I saw something about subscription style plans and it got me thinking, do you think that these actually work in hearing care, or is this just one of those trendy things? We as an industry have got away with pay up front for a long time, given the generation of patients that we serve that very much favoured that type of buying habit. I think that's going to switch. Consumer demand's going to change, and we've either got to adapt or we've got to force people through our route and then moan that not enough people treat their hearing challenges. It's interesting to see models like this work. So there's a practice in New Zealand that have took a bunch of market share with a monthly model, which is a very, very strong offer. And the joy of it is once a patient's in, they're in for life. Because why would they stop paying that monthly subscription, given that they're getting rolled into brand new technology every 3 years, unless they decide not to become a hearing aid wearer, which is highly unlikely. I've seen a few US practices do models on a monthly basis. The challenge you've got as a practice that's been around for a period of time is it's a very difficult switch. To go from traditional to monthly means that you've got to go for a massive pain from a cash flow perspective. You go from collecting all your money on day one and then you have all that profit to distribute over the years to service that patient, to you kind of break even on day one at the very best and then collect your profit over time. So really switching dramatically in one direction towards monthly is going to be very difficult from a cash flow perspective. Trying to get both at the same time would be the way I'd be looking at it. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can have the options. So patients can pay up front, or there's a monthly subscription for lower end technology, hypothetically, or you may want to take patients for their initial purchase through the traditional route, and then on their upgrade, you introduce them to some form of monthly subscription. But these plans definitely have legs. I think it's the future of the industry. I think the model we've got, although the old guard will argue it's always going to be the case, I don't believe it will. I think we will see this pivot and consumer demand will drive the change. And being ahead of that will allow you to take advantage of it. But there's 5 questions. And as always with these things, if you've got questions, ping them in. I love answering these. And dare I say, it makes my job of coming up with content for this podcast significantly easier when you provide the questions for me to riff on. But hopefully this was helpful. And thank you so much to the 5 that submitted these questions. And if you've got a question, ping it over, drop it on a YouTube comment, message me privately, however it is easier to reach me. And we'll do another episode where I riff and discuss some of the questions. But I appreciate your ears, appreciate your time, and I'll be back very soon with another episode. And there we have it. Another episode has come to an end. And I have a quick favour to ask. If you have found this helpful, then who do you know who should listen to this podcast? I strongly believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and right now, private practice needs to stick together to fight these big, gormless groups and these manufacturer-owned Goliaths that are looking to take market share from us. Consider who should be listening, pass on the word about the Business of Hearing podcast, and I'll see you again next week.